Today, the United States operates dozens of military bases across the Middle East. American troops are stationed in countries like Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. But here is the strange part. Most of these countries are thousands of kilometers away from the United States. So, why would governments in the Middle East allow a foreign superpower to build military bases on their soil? Was it pressure? Was it protection? Or was there a deal behind it? The answer turns out to be far more complicated than most people think, because this story is not just about military strategy. It is also about oil, global finance, and a deal that quietly reshaped the world economy. And once you understand that deal, the map of the modern Middle East suddenly begins to make a lot more sense. Before we get into that story, a quick note. If you enjoy videos that explore history, geopolitics, and the hidden forces shaping the world, consider subscribing to the channel. There are many more stories like this coming. Now back to the story. To understand why the United States is in the Middle East, we need to start with one simple fact. The Middle East contains some of the largest oil reserves on Earth. By the mid-20th century, countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and Kuwait were producing enormous quantities of oil that powered industries across Europe, America, and Asia. Oil had become the fuel of the modern world. In 1945, just after World War II ended, a historic meeting took place. The American president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, met the founder of Saudi Arabia, Abdulaziz ibn Saud, aboard the USS Quincy. The understanding between the two leaders was simple. Saudi Arabia would help ensure stable oil supply to global markets, and the United States would help protect the kingdom from external threats. But there was a problem. Most of the oil-rich states in the Persian Gulf were not military powers. Countries like Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates had enormous wealth beneath their soil, but relatively small populations. Some of these countries had fewer than a few 100,000 citizens when oil production first began. That meant something unusual. They controlled resources that the entire industrial world depended on, but did not necessarily have the military strength to defend those resources. Throughout the 20th century, the region experienced wars, revolutions, and political instability. So, for many Gulf governments, the question became simple. How do you protect enormous oil wealth in a very unstable region? One answer was to build strong alliances with the most powerful military in the world, the United States. After World War II, global politics became dominated by a rivalry between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. During the Cold War, the Middle East became one of the most strategically important regions on Earth. Both the United States and the Soviet Union understood something critical. Energy could determine the outcome of global competition. Factories, transportation systems, and modern armies all relied on oil. If the Soviet Union gained influence over major oil-producing regions, it could threaten the Western economic system. So the region became a geopolitical chessboard where countries aligned with different superpowers. In August 1990, the world watched as Iraq invaded Kuwait. The invasion shocked the international community. US-led coalition eventually pushed Iraqi forces out of Kuwait, but the war revealed that many Gulf states could not defend themselves alone. After the war ended, several countries allowed the United States to establish a long-term military presence. In exchange for hosting American forces, Gulf countries gained military protection, advanced weapons, intelligence support, and training. But there was another part of this story that many people rarely talk about. Money. In the early 1970s, the United States abandoned the gold standard. The dollar needed a new anchor, and that anchor would become oil, almost. All of the oil leaving the Persian Gulf must pass through a single, narrow passage, the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through this corridor every day. If the Strait of Hormuz were disrupted, the consequences would ripple across the global economy. From bases across the Gulf region, the United States can monitor shipping routes and respond quickly to threats. Today, major US military facilities operate in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. Almost all oil exports must pass through the Strait of Hormuz. If this narrow passage were disrupted, energy markets worldwide would feel the shock. And the northern coastline of this strait belongs largely to Iran. Now this raises a fascinating question. If the United States maintains the most powerful navy in the world and military bases surround the Persian Gulf, how could any country challenge that power in such a narrow waterway? In a previous video on this channel, we explored how Iran could potentially disrupt shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, and why geography gives it unusual strategic advantages. Sometimes the forces shaping the world are not massive armies or global superpowers. Sometimes they are narrow passages on a map, where geography quietly determines how the global economy moves.